Welcome everyone. Sorry for the delay. We were having some, some problems, but it's now solved. So just let's start. Thank you for joining us in our session, Navigating the Shades of Industrialized Deep Energy Retrofit, Strategies for a Sustainable EU Building Stock. I am Tatiana Loureiro, and I will be the chair of today's session. As you know, achieving the European Union's climate goals by 2050 requires nothing short of a transformation in how we approach building renovation, especially with the goal of retrofitting 100 million housing units. The focus of today's session is on industrialized deep energy retrofits, where the innovative solutions and prefabrication technologies being developed by our projects play a crucial role. Together, we represent the Prefabricated Cluster, a collective of 7 EU-funded projects: ENSNARE, BuildUPspeed, GreeNest, Giga Factory, Click Reno, Plural, and Infinite. Each project is tackling the challenge from different angles, but all share a common goal: accelerating the transition towards energy-efficient, sustainable, and scalable building renovation across Europe. Today, we will hear presentations from each of these projects, which will provide insights into their objectives, their current progress, but most importantly, their contributions to the 3 key discussion points that form the backbone of this session. The first key discussion point is cutting-edge approaches for retrofitting. How are we leveraging technology to simplify and accelerate deep renovations? The second one is collaborative approaches and regional adaptation. How can we ensure that solutions are adaptable to different regions and stakeholder needs? The third discussion point is market activation and policy implications. What policy framework and business models are needed to bring these innovations to market at scale? Following the presentations, I will introduce a matrix of KPIs that each project has identified as critical to scaling up their innovations. This matrix will form the baseline of our open debate. We are not just discussing what to do, but focusing on the how. How can we practically implement these KPIs to turn these innovative solutions into mainstream practices? So with that, let's just jump right into it. And we will hear from the first project. Our first speaker is Talia Constantino from the Technical University of Delft, who will be presenting the ENSNARE project.
Yes, so is this on? Now? Yes. So thanks, Tatiana, for this presentation and the introduction of the workshop. So today I'm going to talk about ENSNARE, which stands for Envelope, Mesh and Digital Framework for Building Renovation. So it's a research project we're working on, and as the title also implies, it has 2 components, the digital and the physical one. And it's about developing systems both for the physical component, so it's a system, a prefabricated system, and a digital platform that comprises of different tools in order to provide a systemic methodology to combine product system and the digital solutions. So the main goal of the project is to boost the implementation of renovation through our developments and foster the further adoption of energy efficient systems, demonstrate how we can increase the efficiency and the performance of the European building stock through implementing our system, similar system that we will hear today, of course, and promote also the integration of main actors into a common framework. So we really want to also take into account the roles of the people during the process of development and the design process. Oh, okay. Yes, then it's very hard to see the screen. But okay, we'll see. So the project has started in 2021, so we are going towards the end. We will have a few months of extension, but a lot of developments are underway. So the current state, again, we look at it again, having those two components in mind, digital and physical. So with regards to the physical, we have developed the system. The main idea is that we have a substructure where different modules can be integrated, and this creates also possibility for adaptability, and we are currently implementing it in the pilot. At the same time, we are working on, we have the main digital architecture of the platform, and we're working on interoperability of the different tools, like a data acquisition tool, early decision support tool, which is happening through the providing information on life cycle cost, life cycle assessment, and energy performance, and so on. And that's the latest general assembly in June, where we are in the finished pilot in Tartu in Estonia. So with regards to the key points of the workshop today, so when it comes to the cutting-edge approach that our project would like to promote, so the first thing is the industrialization. As I explained already, this is really the starting point, because we see it as a catalyst to bring high technological solution and foster the implementation of those. And then it also comes to standardization, but also at the same time versatility and adaptation, because we have existing buildings. Every building has different needs, so we would like our system, and that was the starting point, to have this modularity so it can be adjusted. Then we also would like to promote long-term vision about the impact that it has in the early decision-making, and that's why we have tools that integrate life cycle assessment and cost. And the cost reduction is happening primarily through the manufacturing, by having a standardized solution that can be adapted, but also optimizing the process by minimizing the effort that is requiring from the beginning and building into the information that we need along the design process. And this is very important, coming to the second point of the workshop today, about the collaboration. So the collaboration has been from the beginning very key, is about identifying the key roles in this process, and we have in our consortium already a lot of people coming from those roles, and we leverage their experiences in order to provide this platform that will really foster collaboration and optimize this process. And then information exchange, and in a clear, structured way, we found is during the initial stage of investigation that is a bottleneck in the process. So with our approach, we are providing a structure how this could be done more effectively. And of course, within this project, it's a European project, so we are getting experiences from different European countries and try to integrate this, so we have this structure that can be adapted in different contexts. And what do we see that we need in order to get further? How can we activate the market in such system, and also which are the implications with regards to policy? So we are providing a quite complex solution with many components and highly industrialized concepts. So having good standards for that support this implementation is key. And of course, there are innovative concepts and complex, so market can be reluctant to uptake those, and with the pilots having implemented in real life buildings, we are promoting proven solutions so that this can work. And of course, we do need financial instruments to support that, and such as energy performance contracts, and our solution can be very well compatible with that, because it can provide a very high performance while being adaptable to the needs of every building. And then, of course, like having this experience and those examples and best practices, we can support the further implementation. These are some KPIs which we took into account that were important for our projects. Which comes with the cost, energy, and comfort. This is for the practical things of what can we actually achieve, but then we also, a very important part was the time reduction, the cost reduction, and we tried to achieve this with a very effective collaboration and standardization. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Talia. Our next speaker is John von Oorschot. Sorry. Yeah, I would have to. He will be presenting the project BuildUPspeed.
Still on? Yeah? Okay. Oh, thank you, Tatiana. Save some time introducing myself. Question to the room. Somebody heard about this project, BuildUPspeed? Yeah? Okay, yeah, a couple of hands. Okay, great. Yeah, BuildUPspeed is a live-funded project, so we are not developing technology, but specifically focusing on overcoming barriers in bringing industrialized deep renovation products and services to the market. And we do that. I have to stand closer to the laptop. We do that with almost 18 partners from 5 different EU countries, and all the partners are contributing to also the 5 ecosystems in which we demonstrate our solutions in the Netherlands, France, Spain, Italy, and Austria. And we are already almost 2 years ahead, so 1 year left. So we are in the final stage of our project. And well, this is something you definitely can recognize. We need to boost the renovation wave. We are running out of time, specifically if we take into account climate change. And we need to find sustainable and scalable ways to bring those deep retrofit solutions to the market to decarbonize our communities. And we are not starting from scratch. We have a long history already of European Horizon projects developing all these kinds of solutions. So there is a wealth of knowledge and solutions available out there. But now, we need to make a next step and boost the application and adoption in the market. And regarding those projects, this history of developments, we have to use this maturity ladder, so to say, with 5 key steps in bringing, developing and bringing deep retrofit solutions to the market in an industrial way. So step 1 and 2, I think everybody is on the same page on that. We are developing, we are really advancing on that. And now the complexity is also reaching step 3, 4, and 5. The speeding up, we need further steps in industrializing, automating and roboticizing the deep renovation wave. But then the key questions and challenges are how to do that and what are the preconditions to achieve that. For this, we have developed, or we are developing, or in the middle of the process, two concepts to support that. And one of the concepts that we apply is the local pop-up factory. And local pop-up factory is actually a locally established a factory for a specific geographic area. And it is there for the time that we are working on a deep retrofit. And it's offering a specific type of solution for a specific need for that region. So regarding, for example, a specific type of building which is dominant in that specific region. So it's really context specific. And what the local pop-up factory does is not only providing a set of technologies and solutions, but it's also tuned to market formation, to bring potential clients together to create scale and scope, to also do that in an efficient way. And linked to that local pop-up factory of concept, we have of course some key advantages which I also think are speaking for themselves. And supporting in this local pop-up factory also make use, or we are developing what we call a MAP, a market activation platform. It's really tuned, focusing on bridging supply and demand. So in industrialization, we tend to focus on how to bring technologies efficiently to the market, but also the market is something that you need to create and to tune. And how are you going to do that? Well, in the MAP approach, we are trying to solve that. And for every ecosystem, we also see, so for the 5 different ecosystems we have in our project, we also see that how this map look like is also differently. Every context has its own challenging in bridging supply and demand. Very brief. I hope I'm in time. Yeah, did I do a good job? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Great. Next on, we will have Maria Founti. She will be giving 2 project presentations, the projects Plural and GreeNest.
So, hello everybody. As you heard, I'm Maria Founti from the National Technical University of Athens, and I'm coordinator of 2 projects, Plural and GreeNest, which have 2 different goals but common challenges. Deep retrofitting of buildings without intervening with the facade of the building. Plural targets net zero energy performance of the building after renovation. GreeNest targets zero emission buildings in line with the revision of the EPPD for 2030. So, oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were. Okay, I will be very brief because the time is very limited. Plural stands for Plug and Use Renovation with Adaptable Lightweight Systems. The term use is a paraphrase of plug and play because it takes into account the user needs and their indoor air quality and comfort. The GreeNest creates an ecosystem for zero emission buildings and takes further the core ideas of Plural by incorporating bio-based and biogenic materials in the design of this type of prefabricated facades. Plural ends at the end of this month. It's a project with 18 partners, and GreeNest started in the beginning of 24, and also it has 18 partners from 7 different countries. What did we achieve within the Plural project? Our project has a lot of similarities with ENSNARE and Infinite. There were the 3 projects that were approved under the same call, and since the beginning we had very close collaboration, the 3 projects, and all 3 projects develop on one hand technologies on the physical side and digital platforms on the other side. Here I will present only the physical work that has been done. We developed 3 types of fully prefabricated facade kits. One is called the connex wall, which is a hydronic system which incorporates all the piping in the prefabrication, including windows and the PVs, as you can see here. The second one is called the smart wall. It's a very flexible prefabricated solution which can have up to 100 variants adapted to different building typologies and building uses. It incorporates the energy production system in the form of a PV, a heat pump, fan coils, windows, safety regulators, fire suppression systems, control systems, all of this in the prefabrication. And the last but not least is the envelopes comfort, which is based on folding facades with insulation air handling units incorporated in the design and the manufacturing of the prefabricated components. The key objectives of these developments you can see here. As I mentioned before, it's achieve net energy status of the building after renovation, fast-track renovation, cost-effective, and of course, environmentally friendly renovation. So you see here the 3 demo buildings after the renovation. On the top, you see the envelopes comfort wall, which is a very aesthetically pleasing. The picture doesn't make justice. It's a very beautiful facade after the renovation. This is in Terrassa, in the suburbs of Barcelona. The second building that has been renovated is with a hydronic system, the connex wall in the Czech Republic, in the municipality of Kasava, and the last one is in Greece, which is a very typical residential building built in the 60s and 70s in Greece. All 3 buildings, as I will show, have achieved not only NZEB status after the renovation. Unfortunately, this does not work very well. oops, no, I wanted the pointer. So you can see here you can see here the pre-renovate and the plural state after the renovation, the demands, the energy consumption, the power generation, and the non-renewable energy. All three buildings got certified as NZEP buildings after the renovation, and we are monitoring them well, between 1 year and a few months up to the end of the project. So taking further this idea within the frame of the GreeNest project, we target to develop a number of prefabricated industrialized solutions that actually are based on biogenic and bio-based materials. The idea is to take a step further the current regulation in terms of zero-emission buildings that at the time up to 2030, at the use phase of the building, the carbon footprint should be 0, which implements that you should use renewable energy sources for the production of the energy that it is required for the building and some excess to be able to counterbalance the CO2. We take this idea a bit further and we try to include the upstream embodied energy in the materials that are used in the prefabrication in order to be able to close the life cycle and end towards zero-emission buildings. So we target 100% carbon-free construction through the application of biogenic materials that store carbon. Additionally, we ensure that the building will have NZEP status, minimizing the energy needs and covering all the needs via renewable sources. At the same time, we target to improve the productivity of this type of prefabricated facades. This is a big challenge because, as you know, nature-based materials and biogenic materials are variable depending on their source and the way they are retrieved, if it is from an agricultural or a recycling process, and they are not standardized in terms of their properties. So this is a big challenge for the project, and of course, this has to be accompanied by circular economy principles, taking into account LCA, LCC, and so on. So I'm not going to go through. This is the list of the 16 standardized packages that are developed within the GreeNest project. We are using coffee bean wastes to produce insulation materials. We do waste wood processing, and we use the waste dowels laminated timber for the construction of prefabricated timber or coffee bean waste modules. We develop digital tools. We have two different concepts in terms of design. One is called the design by inventory, which is basically oriented towards the architectural design of buildings that are deep renovated with biogenic materials. And the other, it's called Delta Smart. It's a concept of designing, taking into account regenerative procedures for prefabricated facade buildings. We develop a number of envelope systems, and of course, these systems include the renewable energy sources in the form of PVs, control systems, and a cascading principle for heat pumps and storage. The target also within the GreeNest project goes one step further from the plural project. We are not targeting renovation, we are targeting construction of new buildings with prefabricated industrialized components that are based, as I mentioned before, on biogenic and bio-based materials. The three buildings we are targeting. Two of them are in Berlin. One is in a flagship building that it is currently constructed by the Technical University of Berlin and will act as a pavilion, as an exhibition center, totally constructed from nature-based materials and with regenerative design approaches. The second is the top floor of housing, student housing. The third one is in the delta of the Po River in Venice, in an area which is protected, Natura protected, for fishermen, where we will have green walls prefabricated with all the new renewable systems. And the last one is in Greece, in a highly seismic area, as a student, as a young people recreational center. So let's go to the challenges and the achievements that we achieved through mainly through the Plural project, because the GreeNest project has just started a year ago. So regarding the cutting-edge approaches for retrofitting, we have demonstrated, first of all, that it is possible to have a fully prefabricated facade solutions that can be implemented in a wide range of building typologies to reach NZEB status. These type of prefabricated facades can successfully integrate renewable energy sources, thermal systems, heat pumps, ventilation or handling units, which it is a big challenge in terms of the prefabrication and the change in the business model that it is needed, that includes all the value chain to be able to deliver this type of components in the prefabrication. Storage is also possible through this type of prefabrication, including EV charging. And one step further, we can create this type of industrialized facades with the inclusion of decarbonized materials towards an adaptive and regenerative built environment. What are the main challenges that we faced? First of all, the design procedure. The design procedure, I call it performance-based. It means that the mentality in the design has to be slightly reoriented to take into account the end performance of the building, whether this relates energy or environmental impact. There is a lack of information in terms of the procedures and the materials that can be used to integrate them in the design approach. This also includes the spectrum of renewable energy technologies that should be integrated in the prefabrication. What is the role of digital tools and IoT tools? We see on all the projects the development of these type of platforms to support the control and the monitoring and the design of this type of solutions and the buildings that they are accounted. There is a need for further development to integrate the newest design tools and also the databases and the inventories of the new materials and the new technologies. And in addition to this, we believe that it is important to have decision support tools to help the stakeholders prioritize their solutions. The extension towards zero-emission buildings, as I mentioned, is a challenge that is still at the first steps. As I mentioned, the properties of the nature-based materials are not yet fully understood because their durability, their performance under extreme conditions is not yet fully established. Collaborative approaches and regional adaptation. What did we learn? We demonstrated through the NZEB solutions that we can improve not only the energy performance of the building, but through the control systems and the monitoring indoor air quality sensors that we can include in the prefabrication, we can improve the living conditions and the comfort of the users of the building. The residents of the building have a lot of benefits in terms of thermal air quality, humidity, noise. We managed to do the renovation without disturbing the tenants. We did the renovation of the buildings while the tenants were inside. And with the new nature-based materials, we offer new pathways for greening the construction sector. Main challenges in terms of the collaborative approaches. New business models for all the SMEs, because it is mainly SMEs that are locally, regionally established, that develop this type of industrialized prefabricated solutions. We need new collaborative schemes and new business models to bring into the broad market these solutions. The value chains are still fragmented and not fully organized. New approaches that could transform the already industrialized prefabricated system into green construction systems. Here I'm talking about the big industries that cover a good share of the market, and new methods for circular design involving all stakeholders. The market activation, the achievements is that we managed to improve the existing building utilization and user comfort by developing solutions that are cost-effective, fast, and reliable in terms of their performance. We have validated the new construction products in line with the certification and regulatory needs of each country. The challenges, as mentioned before, need for whole life cycle approach when assessing the strategies to decarbonize the built environment. Need to update the EPBD to include prefabricated industrialized systems. The industrialization is currently hindered due to limited organization of the value chains. The acceptance still needs to be further deployed and enhanced. And the last but not least is the lack of regulatory framework for active building facade components. Active, I mean systems that incorporate both passive and active systems. So I didn't include the KPIs. Thank you very much, because we will discuss them. Thank you very much for the attention. I hope I didn't take much time, but it was 2 projects that I presented.
Thank you, Maria. Next, we have the project Click Reno, which will be presented by Ana Sanchis Huertas.
Okay, thank you. So now we are moving to this other project, which is not so much focused on the industrialized solutions, but in how industrialized deep energy retrofit fits with the staged renovation, which is the main focus of this project. So Click Reno is also a live project, 3 years, 5 pilot locations, 13 partners, this kind of data. But its aim is to contribute to the transitions towards the zero-emission building through the mechanism of the building renovation passport. Our idea is to deliver as much building renovation passports as possible in an automated way, which will serve on the one hand for final users to have a very quick idea on what they can do, and on the other hand to serve as a baseline for professionals to really perform the real specific building renovation passport of the specific building. So we think that this way we will help all the actors, owners, investors to better plan their renovations. So the idea is to deliver easy-to-understand itineraries for renovation with non-regret solutions, offering robust and quality indicators about the cost and the benefits of each of the measures that we are providing, and being flexible and adaptable to the circumstances of the owners or of the different actors in the renovation during time, because circumstances can be changing. So if we focus on the technological approaches, our idea is to be flexible enough to adapt to the users' concerns, let's say. So we are building this kind of renovation plan configurator, so they can select different objectives or approaches or timelines in order to configure their renovation passport. Then we were focusing on scalability, because we defined in a standardized way all the elements of the building and the renovation measures that can be applied. So we can start with a several set of energy renovation measures, but we can continuously improve and adapt and upscale the measures that we are offering in the renovation passport. And then we do all of this with a view on aggregation. We are starting a new project, Barrio, which will do a very similar thing, but in a district level. So when we do this, it's a general energy renovation, but we also want to have this focus on industrialization. And in this regard, we are trying to build this specific renovation passport with industrialized focus, trying to implement and introduce into the system the in-perso renovation packages. In-perso is another project which is much more focused on industrialization. So the idea with all of this is try to tackle barriers such as high upfront costs or the difficulty in finding the most fitted solutions for your building, and assessing the applicability of one solution that you have found and try to see if you can apply it to your own building. So we will be paying attention if the different measures and systems that we include in our configurator are compatible in time, not at the moment of building them, but in time, in different stages. And we will pay attention to the long-term cost, trying to confront it with the upfront costs, and also try to achieve this critical mass of renovation work, so a specific solution, it's worth to use it, because sometimes a specific solution is not worth to use it for a single dwelling, but if you can do this aggregation and get different buildings, then you can go for a specific solution. So then for the collaboration and the regional adaptation, we are using this much more traditional approach. We are focusing on these 5 pilots across Europe with different levels of development in the renovation market, in the kind of solutions. So we are analyzing all those markets and we are co-designing very actively with our stakeholders. So we arrived to a common definition of the different components and strategies that we are going to offer through our tool, but then the specific products and roadmaps that are going to be offered are locally adapted. With this, what we want to tackle is this sometimes negative perception of some of the solutions that can be offered or the lack of trust, and then try to tackle also the fragmentation of the renovation market issue in many of those renovation markets, and also trying to make available the possibility of assessing if one product is transferable to another region. So we will be paying attention of creating networks of collaboration, try to onboard the most regions as possible, and try to adapt existing tools to be able to embed this configurator of a renovation roadmap, staged renovation roadmap. So finally, for the market activation with the policy implications, we are trying to focus on facilitating. As I said, we are trying to start with automatic starting point, but that will be later on be able to be adapted to the real building. We are trying to focus on achieving a critical mass and help organize to achieve this critical mass to be able to access some of the solutions that need, for example, a very big facade or a lot of square meters of facade to be worth the use, and try to help decision makers to assess the potential results of applying some policies or designing some grant schemas. So with this, we will try to fight in barriers such as the lack of awareness or the difficulty in organizing the renovation works, and try to put in place some kind of governance and supporting networks. So we will try to validate or to test some kind of business models on the staged renovation roadmaps, try to influence different policies or maybe grant schemas, and also try to monitor and measure how many of those automatic renovation plans are really adapted into real building renovation roadmaps. And that's all that I wanted to share with you for the moment. So thanks for the attention, and I will be answering later.
Thank you very much. Lastly, we have Chiara Stanghini, and she will be presenting also 2 projects, starting with Infinite, and then we will hear about the project Giga Regio Factory.
Good morning, all. The first project I will present today is the CSTR project of both ENSNARE and Plural, and it's an Horizon 2020 project, which will end in 2026, so we have 2 years more to go. And its goal, as both the other two projects, is to develop, test, and foster the market activation of industrialized retrofit solution. Infinite tackles this challenge considering the whole renovation process from the concept design to also maintenance and end of life with several objectives. The first one is the creation of a BIM platform with all needed plugins that we will see later. The second one is the development of different retrofit kit that can be integrated and combined according to the different needs. The third one is the creation of a building management system that needs to, of course, enables the proper performance of this renovation kit that will be implemented. And the last two results are more on market activation. There will be a platform for different users to see a bit of the market potential of these technologies, and the creation of an industrialized deep renovation observatory, which is aiming to be a bit of the point of reference to engage stakeholder and European communities on the topic, but also to observe the evolution of industrialized renovation in the different countries by publishing a biannual outlook on the topic with main trends, solution, and project. Starting with the cutting-edge approaches for retrofitting, the project develops BEM, as also the other two projects, Plural and ENSNARE, from a double point of view. The first one is the technologies. The project developed six, if we consider the BMS, but 5 kits to be totally integrated in the prefab wooden structure, which is mainly for the facade, but also for the roof. These kits are the green cladding, which is the only technology not really developed within the project, but a benchmarking analysis has been done to assess the most suitable solution for this kind of systems, while the BIPV and BEAST are both the photovoltaic and solar thermal panels to be placed in the facade as a cladding system. So their main characteristic is that they have a high architectural quality, so that they can substitute any other like kind of normal claddings. Moving to the system, the project developed an integrated energy and fresh air distribution, which is a heat pump ventilation machine that can be placed both under the window within the facade or in the balcony. And all the pipes are inserted within the facade, so to minimize the disturbance of inhabitants while renovating. And the last kit is smart windows, which have this special sensor that has been developed within the project, that is placed inside the windows and is connected to the BMS, of course, and helps the automatization of the windows in terms of solar protection and all other features. From a digital point of view, the project developed a BIM platform through IFCS files. This platform is able to open models coming from different tools such as Revit. And connected to this platform, there are 5 plugins developed within the project, all connected to the model. So, for example, the LCC plugin for cost analysis can take the quantities from the model and make some design assessment of how the intervention could cost. The energy plugin will do the same on energy need and consumption before and after the renovation. The LCA plugin measure the environmental impact both at the component level or building level. And then there are 2 other plugins, the installation one that helps companies on site to understand how to install this kind of system on the building, and the operation and maintenance plugin, which is a sort of card for every element that has been installed that shows ordinary maintenance activities planned, the warranty associated to the component, and these kind of things. Moving to collaborative and regional approaches, the project aims at firstly collecting in this knowledge hub most advanced project and solution that are all assessed in terms of a list of KPIs that can be filtered and aggregated. And then the most interested showcase project will be put on this interactive market potential map, where best projects are spotted in all the different countries, so every user from different region can access the platform, see what's going on, and also can pinpoint their building and put the building characteristic inside to see what kind of solution can be applicable to its building. Now it's been implemented mainly with infinite solution, but the idea is to try to improve it with also other solutions so that the decision tree is a bit more complete and useful. And finally, as market activation, of course, the project is also testing the solution on 3 real demos. They are all affordable or social housing in Italy, France, and Slovenia. Slovenia and Italian demo are under renovation in this month. The French one will start soon. And so the idea to test the technology on real demos, it's useful to spot challenges and lessons learned, and especially to activate local stakeholders such as local authority municipalities, because they always want to see some real cases tested. Parallelly, we are developing also 3 main business models. We try to understand which combination of renovation packages is most suitable and promising for different user categories, such as private homeowners, social housing, real estate. And of these 3 models, we are, through also the LCC tool, making some analysis to compare cost before, after renovation with industrialized and traditional approach to see what are actually nowadays, what are the main gaps, of course, to be covered once the solution gets on the real market and can scale up and be implemented of several buildings. So this is it for Infinite Project. Another project that tackles industrialized renovation with the same goal but a different approach is Giga Regio Factory. Giga Regio Factory is a live project that we are carrying on together with the Energiesprong network. So I don't know if you know this movement, but it's an open innovation program that has been already implemented in France, United Kingdom, Germany, and the Netherlands, where it's born actually, and Italy. And it has renovated more than 10,000 homes already in the different countries through innovative business models and solutions. So Energiesprong value proposition, let's say, is to solve the decarbonization problem of built environment by developing solutions that can be scalable, so that can reach the mass market through, of course, solutions that are fast to be implemented, affordable in terms of overall cost, that have a performance guarantee, so high quality standard that can be promised, and they are appealing for the tenants in terms of safety, low disturbance, but also architectural quality of the solution. In this regards, Giga Regio Factory project has the objective to capitalize this first industrialized project that has been implemented to support the renovation scale up. So since it's a live project, there is not a technological development as in the Horizon ones, but the project has 3 main goals: to develop an open source tool that is both a catalog of solutions matched to the building typologies and clusterization. The second goal is to help mainly construction companies in applying these technologies to their renovation project, because that's a current gap. Many general contractors do not know them or are more oriented to traditional approaches. And the third objective is to develop industrial capacity by supporting solution provider manufacturer in investing in new and more modern industrialized factories. Moving to the cutting edge approaches for retrofitting, which is the focus of this workshop, the project is developing, as I said, both a catalog of solution and a methodology to clusterize the building typologies to assess the potential of industrialization of a single buildings or a building area. This is done through a selection of KPIs that takes into account both similarity and simplicity of the building. Simplicity means all those indicators that can help assessing the geometry of the building, their characteristic, to see if it's, let's say, simple enough to apply industrialized solution available nowadays. And similarity means assessing in defined perimeters how many similar buildings are present in the area, so that a first aggregation of building can be applied and first economies of scale can be reached. There is an example on the right. I have problem with left and right. Saying that the number 2 is, for example, a quite nice building, but you cannot see because it's small, but there are a lot of similar buildings in the neighborhood, so means that it has a high similarity potential, while the picture 5, it's a nice building for industrialization, but of course there are no similar buildings around. This methodology wants to be applied to open source data, so starting from OpenStreetMap and these kind of things. Of course, some KPIs then needs to be applied when you have more detailed information on the building stock. So some of them are already applicable maybe by an artificial intelligence on the maps, but some of them, of course, needs further analysis on the buildings. Moving to collaborative approaches, the project is developing training for local actors, starting from the area in which they lack the most competencies and know-how on the topic. And the support program has been tailored to different actors like design firm, general contractor, construction company, according to their level of awareness and innovation on the topic. So there is a free e-learning module for everybody. Then there are more specific training kits and site visit and workshop that we plan during the project. Moving then to the coaching part, which is just for those companies more into the industrialization topic that wants really to apply some Energiesprong renovation. So the idea of the coaching is to help them in this process. And finally, moving to the market activation part, the project focusing on business models, business plan, to assess the total cost of ownership of the intervention, trying to capitalize what are the industrialized renovation benefits of Energiesprong intervention and how economies of scales can be reached. Of course, the ideal goal is to reduce construction cost, but the main goal nowadays of this analysis is to find a match between demand and supply, so to reach a point in which renovations are affordable enough for the demand, taking into consideration different modules, not only the cost of renovation, but also energy, incentives, maintenance, management, and other benefits which can be related to comfort, security, fast intervention, the rent, the real estate value. So to find renovation that are affordable for the demand, but also work to support the supply side in understanding where costs can be reduced, especially if economies of scales are in place, so where there are some possibilities in terms of labor, material, facade element, what kind of component have the higher margin on this. So this kind of reasoning are ongoing in this project and in general in the Energiesprong approach. So thank you.
Thank you to all the speakers. For the people who join a little bit later, now we will open the debate. And just to give you an overview, our idea here is what the projects have presented is based on 3 main discussion points. So the developments and the challenge that they have encountered within these 3 topics, which were the cutting-edge approaches for retrofitting, combining digital and physical solutions, collaborative approaches and regional adaptation, and the third topic is market activation and policy implications. So with that in mind, you have heard the many things that these projects have identified as critical, necessary to implement the solutions that they are developing, and to be able to upscale the solutions into market. With that, we have identified some KPIs within each of these key discussion points. And I wanted to briefly introduce this to you because this will serve as the base for the debate. So rather than having just a normal Q&A, we want to open the floor to the speakers and to the audience to participate in how we can mainstream this solution, having into account also these KPIs that we think are necessary for this. So for the first topic, the cutting-edge approaches for retrofitting, there are several KPIs that we have identified, mostly related to time and cost efficiency, also with long-term impact, level of standardization, customization and flexibility is also very important, and disturbance during installation, and lastly, innovation in prefabrication. For the second topic, collaborative approaches and regional adaptation, we have identified 3 categories of KPIs, regional and local adaptation. So here we have KPIs such as the number of local supply chains created, networks and regional engagement, local pop-up factories. Collaborative tools and networks, and the third, training and knowledge sharing. And lastly, for the market activation and policy implications, we have 2 main KPI categories, business models and financial instruments. Business model referring to validated business models, and of course financial instruments necessary to overcome the upfront cost. And the policy and legislative impact, because it's obviously necessary to have these legislative documents for the market uptake, standards, and support from local governments. And with that into mind, I wanted to open the floor. You are all welcome in the chat as well. I will be checking to raise your issues, to say what you think, and I will open with an open question. So we can start the debate. My first question is, how can we streamline the standardization and industrialization of deep renovation processes while maintaining flexibility and customization for the different regional contexts?
I can start saying something about that. So in ENSNARE, the idea was that we have a standard structure, substructure, and then you have the chance, which is, as a substructure, is flexible enough to be dimensioned according to the building needs. But then at the same time, you are able to integrate different technologies. In this project, we had PV panels, PVT, we had some smart windows and so on, but it's always possible to incorporate more technologies. To that extent, we also like the platform. At the current point, it has the products that the project includes, but is an open platform that more projects and local ecosystem of suppliers can be included to facilitate this process in terms of product selection, depending on what each project needs. Yes. And then, I don't know if somebody else from the speaker would like to talk about it.
I mean, same, of course, it's for infinite project. What I think it's really value adding in this kind of solution is the fact that a lot of different also finishing are possible. I mean, when I walk in Milan, for example, and I see the first building renovated with attics, they all look the same in the end, because there is just plaster that you can put in different colors, of course, but I think we have to overcome the idea that prefabrication is standardization, because with this system that, of course, are maybe a bit heavier, a bit costly so far, but still they can have a lot of different possibilities in terms of finishing. The actual appearance of buildings can be kept in most cases even after the renovation. So I think that's the kind of customization that it's possible. Of course, the production process needs to adapt to a sort of lean manufacturing process, which is not so easy yet in this sector, but there are a lot of possibilities, I think.
Yeah, maybe to add another dimension, because, for example, for flexibility and customization in prefab technologies, we normally tend to focus on technology itself, in the design of panels and products. But it's not only the flexibility and customization you need in the product, but also in processes. Because projects change, and geographic regions can be far away from each other. So if your project is far from your factory or close to your factory, that can also have impact on how you're going to deliver your product to the construction site. So at some point, to some extent, you also need flexibility in processes and how you're going to service different sets of projects with different characteristics.
I also wanted to add a dimension to this flexibility and not so much customization, but just for the flexibility and compatibility of the systems, because all of the systems that you have been showing are compatible, and you have the facade and then you have the window, but they are compatible in one stage when you are manufacturing it. But if I add this approach of staged renovation, can I now use the facade and then next year can I put the window? The system is compatible, but now the facade is in my home and it's not in the factory. So are all those industrialized products ready for this kind of renovation, of intervention, of compatibility? That's more or less the things that we are trying to manage from our point of view.
Last one. Okay, the projects that were presented today demonstrated that there is a very big catalog of potential solutions that can be applied in different types of buildings, different climatic conditions, for deep retrofitting of buildings. Now, how can we streamline the standardization? From my understanding, digital tools and platforms can play a crucial role in this by creating the appropriate tools in terms of building design and building monitoring, and at the same time providing repositories and inventories of this type of solutions. The designer, the architect, the constructor, all the key stakeholders in the value chain can have access to the different solutions, and when we have also the appropriate tools, we will be able to classify and prioritize the solution. In terms of flexibility and adaptation, it is clear that there is not a universal solution. I think it has become clear from all the presentations. The solution has to be adapted to the specific needs of the building. And there are still a lot of technological hurdles that need to be solved. These relate to the way you attach, to put it in very plain words, the facade to the building. The specificities of the building in terms of the previous construction. As you know, in most buildings you don't know what it is behind the wall. And there is no way of knowing it with the current technologies. So there are still a lot of technological problems that need to be solved. I believe that we are at the beginning with a good perspective for the future. And another aspect is, at the moment we have localized production that can be undertaken by SMEs exploiting the local or regional capabilities. And on the other hand, we have the very big companies in Europe that have a leading role. And they also need to transform their mentality and their production lines towards industrialization. I believe that they can make a big impact in this streamlining, the standardization, because they have the capacity and they have the know-how.
Just as Maria is standing, can I just ask a follow-up question?
Yeah, okay. Can you please use the mic so people online hear you?
Yes, sorry. Just a quick follow-up question to Maria. Actually, if I may, two. So Hans Rhein from the LIFE program. You mentioned, yes, the big players are important partners in maybe rolling this out. Have you worked with the big partners? I mean, Bouygues was here yesterday, opening the Build for People conference. So I mean, have you actively tried to reach them? I think that would certainly be interesting, and seeing what their reactions is to that. You mentioned in your presentation another point, and I just wanted to understand what the rationale behind this. You said you would need to have an update of the EPBD to address the question of prefabrication. But why do you think a legal framework is necessary for that? That wasn't clear to me.
Well, answering your first question, I've been very lucky in my life working for the last 30 years with one of the big players. And what I can say is that from my understanding and my experience, these big players have long-term strategic plans. So they have made a shift towards systems and modularity and prefabrication about 10 years ago. But they are developing with a very slow pace. I can expand a lot of this, but if you want, I can tell you. Now, why did I mention the EPBD? For two reasons. First of all, that when you do this type of prefabricated solutions, you want to reach the NZEB zero energy or zero emission standard. And this is a dynamic process. For me, from the way I understand it. It's not a passive process, like, for instance, I define a U value, I define primary energy demand, and I classify my building according to this, because there is an interaction between the active and the passive components of the prefabricated system. And I believe that this should be taken in the next steps of the EPBD revision, and also taking into account nature-based materials, which are not included at the moment. This is how I see it. Probably I'm wrong, but I see that if we want to decarbonize, we need to include nature-based materials. They have a lot of problems to be included in this type of prefabrication. There are a lot of challenges, we can discuss them. And we need to revise the PPD to take into account this kind of dynamic, or how can I explain it, cross-coupling of the performance of the building with the materials and the components you use, which is not static. I hope I answered your...
And if I may add something, since you are a representative of the LIFE program, it's always a challenge for research and innovation projects to engage with the stakeholders that we need to in order to upscale our solutions. Well, especially in this type of projects that we are tackling, industrialization, as Maria was mentioning, they have their own business models, and maybe this is too innovative, and it's sometimes difficult, it will take time, but yes, it's super essential that we plan within our projects a good business model to really engage them and make them see the advantages of these innovative solutions. But at the same time, this is a personal opinion, but I would also like to see a little bit more effort on the European Commission side in planning more forums that we can collaborate, researchers and industries together to present these solutions. And I know they exist, but sometimes there are so many things that, I don't know, maybe within specific goals and with the specific programs, we can try to make some more specific events, forums for the upscale of these solutions and to really have an impact of these funded projects.
Thank you. So, yeah, the discussion on stakeholder engagement, and in particular, in my perspective, the definition of also the end user. So we were discussing before, so for example, to make, I'm taking care, and I took care of several projects related to the energy domain, where we provided facility managers, energy managers with digital platforms, and also residents with an application with several functions like organizing, I don't know, events, sharing objects, but also controlling costs and consumption of energy. And also we develop, I remember one service related to the disaggregation of electrical consumption data, which was, in our opinion, super useful for the residents to make them more aware of the way they were consuming energy, also related to the cost. So perhaps they will understand that using the washing machine in the particular hour will not, it's not super effective, and they can shift their consumption. However, what we have seen, it's that sometimes we develop all these useful solution products, digital platforms, but at the end, I think what we are a little bit missing, it's the end user perspective. Or perhaps we take into account it, but in some way, the fact that you are proposing a final solution to them, which could be a resident, but also, I don't know, perhaps a, I don't know, a real estate developer or stuff like that, could perhaps not be the perfect approach. What I've seen is that taking into account their perspective at the early beginning of a project, of an activity, it's somehow you create this link, this connection with them. It, of course, entails a lot of effort because you have to, I don't know, we were talking also before about sharing information, providing data, and make them understand which are the benefits of the solution that we are developing. So I think this perspective, this approach could be replicated in several projects that have different end users and different stakeholders, but at the end, they are facing the same difficulties. So engaging stakeholders and involving and try to make the solution that we are developing more, let's say, known and used effectively in the market. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. That is a key point, and indeed, an important effort on these projects should be focused on engaging the right end users, the right stakeholders, right from the beginning to, as you say, having to account their needs, their wants, and implementing already in the solutions that we develop. And also, I think something that sometimes we don't take into account is the need for an interdisciplinary approach, especially when we are talking about solutions for citizens. It's super important to have someone that manages the social sciences, that is able to understand exactly their needs, their wants, and how to engage with these people so we can really have their feedback and customize the solutions for them. Well, thank you. I think we have going a little bit further than the initial question, but it has been a really interesting discussion topic. We have just 5 minutes left. As you can see on the screen, I had also 2 other questions, but I won't propose them right now. I will just leave the floor if anyone wants to tackle any of these issues that we have for the open questions, or in general, any other issue related to the topics that we have discussed today. Please feel free to make your point of view.
Maybe I'd like to highlight some. It touches a little bit on the second point, and because here in this part we're talking about industrialization, and industrialization starts making sense when talking about the economy of scale. So we really need mass implementation. We have that because we have so many buildings that we need to renovate. So, and we have a lot of technological solutions that we could implement, but there are still things to be done of tools, how to design or how to include the people, how to include the key players, which is the building industries. We know how conservative and difficult it is. And I think the financial instruments are really key there because they can create this larger demand. So if we approach it with models like the energy contracts or one-stop shops, and then there is a lot of research going there as well. If we can combine those with companies that do offer these industrialized solutions, then we can really start seeing the benefits. So there's also this need to tackle that.
But I think also that in all our projects we are start tackling, kind of public buildings, because it's easier to have just one main reference and owner, and it's the first subject that can have some volume. But second main problem that we are foreseeing with respect, in addition to financial instrument, is public procurement actually, because none of these solutions are within tender framework, current tender framework, current prices available. So another space within policies is actually to kind of have better guidelines for public administration to implement new tender procedures such as public public-private procurement, APC, because nowadays they just see that as a very bureaucratic burner, and there are some spot cases, but I think the investment from the industrial side will come when they see some volumes that are firstly coming from public entities. Then, of course, I think the long-term goal of everybody is reaching the private sector, which is most residential and not only buildings in Europe. But to make this first step, what we are seeing is very big barriers in the procurement side.
Just one question. How can we put all this knowledge together? The projects that were presented today, they have developed really a critical mass, both of physical and digital solutions. They are scattered at the moment. How can we harmonize this? All of us have said that we are open in collaboration, we are open in sharing the tool developments, the experience. I think we are at a step where we need to discuss and find a way of bringing all this together, going to the next step higher. So it's a question to all of us.
And I mean, of course, coming from the university side, we disseminate and so on, dissemination events and like that are very viable. But I think the answer really sits with the market, and we have some market players in the consortia. I would start there, I think, and we really need to see, okay, this knowledge, which are still the barriers to bring it further, and then focus on that. I think we really need to tackle the market, but then, of course, like the public policy, like you mentioned the public procurement, that's also very key. But it needs to come from both sides, what we say, like the quadruple helix, because like we are all there here, but it's really about the market uptake we're talking about here. And I think we need to start with the people in our consortia and this network like ECTP and so on that can really be the owners of those solutions.
Can you please give the microphone to...
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was listening the word solution many times here, but I was wondering who defined the problem. I mean, who defined the problem? And maybe it has to do with the stakeholders that you mentioned before. I mean, before you say we have solutions for which kind of problems, and who has defined the problems? This is one question. And the other one is about, if I have heard that the word industrialization, prefabrication, standardization, do you think that all of these terms are exchangeable or there are differences between them? If prefabrication is the same thing as industrialization?
Well, I mean, I think it's not the time. We can work on the semantics. I think here the key is what we need to take into account is this replicability and mass production. This is what we look here, and with the benefit that it brings for fast implementation. Prefabrication and industrialization, they're not synonymous. Like there are like subsets of type of actions. So yes, I mean, but the main thing here is like, for me at least, like the replicability and mass implementation. And then we have seen in the past, like how industrialization and prefabrication was not necessarily successful, like we have like some years ago. But here now we have tools to look more for mass customization, which is also what we need for the existing building. So we have a benefit if we compare with prefabricated solutions that were developed, I don't know, 60, 70 years ago. So we start from a different standpoint, but they're not synonymous as words.
What I did before for the Dutch market, for example, is if you focus on industrialization itself, it not only solves problems, it also creates problems. For example, for the Dutch market, all the industrialization efforts, they have a history of failure. So if you expect from the industry that they come up with industrial production to serve the market, you need to ensure that there is sufficient skill and scope. So you cannot demand from the industry to make that move to make this million, sometimes billion euros of investment in establishing a factory, and then saying, yeah, you need to solve it, that you have that there is a steady line of production. Then you create a project for. Then you say, okay, it's your problem, solve it. So that's so in that sense. Sometimes I think this is a limitation sometimes of Horizon project and also Live project, is that we are so inward focusing on creating solutions that we sometimes forget for who we are developing it, and for which other complementary problems you will also create, because you create value in some aspects, but maybe also destroy values in other aspects. So you need to balance it as well. So there is something, sometimes a deeper layer you also have to dive into.
Well, thank you, everyone. We have reached the time. Just to conclude, for the question that Maria was opening, how can we collaborate and make sure that we share in a meaningful way the knowledge that each of us individually have created, to try to give some solutions or at least a guides. Well, we have been discussing, as Maria mentioned also in her presentation, with these projects and some other projects we have been working together for 3 years already, and we have this idea to have something out of this workshop. So we will be working on creating maybe a short guide, identifying these KPIs and the conclusions of this workshop. So please make sure to follow us in our social media and our project websites, where we will be publishing these conclusions. Thank you all.